Right, so this is a video of me making some chain links and assembling a sign holder I've been making at Bunratty Castle. All the pieces are made bar the chain links, so I said I'd bring it home and make a video out of it. And in theory this is going to save us some time because myself and Owen have some really cool projects lined up in Bunratty and we're going to document the process of them too. Alright, this is a process called upsetting, and basically I am bringing the material back into itself to make it bigger than the starting stock. So when I fire weld these together now and close up the chain links, the material doesn't become smaller than the starting stock. Gives me a bit of room to manoeuvre really. And here now I'm forging the scarf. It's right on the corner of the anvil, nice sharp corner, and that's going to be done on both sides. So they need to be done on the opposite side, so when they come around they come together and they grip each other. So when I give it the first hammer blow it's not going to slip, and it gives me a better chance of getting a good clean weld. And if you're ever going to give chain links a go or make them yourself, when they come together like this, the scale can't build up between the joint, so it's a much easier weld to do than your traditional scarf weld. So it's a nice one to practice. Mind you, I would recommend starting with bigger stock, because when you're doing these they could be quite tricky because the material is so small. So because this is going to be a sign holder, I need the chain links to be quite small, so I'm using 8mm round and 110mm of it. And if you're going to practice making chain links, I'd recommend using 12mm round and 180mm. Right, and there's my first chain link. I have 8 of them to do in total, and just 4 on each side. So it's better to make 2 chain links and have the third chain link to join the 2 of them together. So always make them in 3s like that. For this particular project I need 4 links. The 5th one is going to be a piece of round bar wrapped around like a loop. It's going to be fire welded on the ends and then a tenon made out of the end of it. That's going to be put through the top rail of the sign holder, and it's going to hang the sign off of that. Now, of all the work I've done over the past few years, this is the first job I've actually needed to make chain links. I've done it in my training, but other than that I've never had to use them in a project, so it was quite nice to do. Here now I'm just sticking on the final link. Okay, so these are 2 sections. I'm going to make the loops and they're going to be forge welded onto the chains as well. I'm going to make a little tenon then on the end, and that's going to go onto the top rail. I'll just taper out the end of it there and bring it back around itself and just forge weld it together then. Well, I'm going to get it together first like this, open it back up so I'm happy with the size, and put the chain link on it. Now this is actually quite a tricky little weld. Because the chain links are so small and they're all together, you don't want to get the other links too hot, otherwise you lose a lot of material on them and then it'll look too thin and you don't want to burn them. So good fire management and understanding your fire and watching what you're doing is really important when doing small tiny chain links like this. Really awkward, but happy with how it turned out. Right, so now that the loop is welded up, I'm just going to get the shape on it right. And when I'm happy with that, I'm going to leave it down to cool off. And then I'll repeat that on the other side. I have 2 scrolls I made at Bunratty. Now I'm going to stick them together with a rivet. So to access the rivet, I'm going to turn out the scroll there with a nice precise heat on the gas torch. So this gives me easy access to the rivet and I can close it up. And to get the scroll back in the same position, I can just heat the exact spot I opened it up in. It's nice to do, and the gas torch is a game changer. Now, traditionally, they probably wouldn't have used a rivet in a section like that. They would have made a collar for it, or I've seen in some Victorian ironwork they would have made a lead collar, cast it onto it. But sometimes less is more, and I didn't fancy messing around with lead for a day to make a couple of collars. So what I've decided to do here was drill a 10mm hole for the loop to go through. There's no need to really make a tenon on it, and I just close it up like a rivet. And the fit is nice and tight, and it's not going anywhere. Then it's the same thing then for the other side. Right, so now it's time to attach the scroll onto the top rail of the sign holder. So I need to be able to put a rivet down into that section there. So I opened it up then with the gas torch, put the rivet in, closed it, and now I can close back up the scroll. No bother at all. Then I'll just repeat the same thing on the other side of the scroll. Once that's all done, I'll start closing up the tenons. And I always find in something like this, even gates and whatnot, that when you're closing up the tenons, that the joinery is the aesthetic as well. And it's nice to dress your tenons and get them nice and clean and crisp looking. So I always give mine that little finish where it looks like an X coming through the centre and tapered on all four sides. And there we have it. So this sign holder is going to be for the people of the medieval market, and this is going to be in the courtyard of Bunratty Castle. People from the market are going to be there every Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Myself and Owen Reardon are going to be there every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if you're around, be sure to say hello. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll chat to you then.